freedom of speech is a very important right. It allows people to speak their minds. It allows us to judge ideas based on their merits and to take them on into our consensus or to cast them aside. As a lot of people say, sunlight is indeed the best infectant. Without freedom of speech, you can argue that potentially there is no free society. But this video is about some ridiculous comments that have been made on the rather other side of the spectrum. Yeah, we're taking a break from the left and we're going to the right. So, Gab. Yeah, Gab. Gab.com, you know, the whole free speech platform, right, guys? Or the alt tech, the future, right? They're going to take over from YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and lead us into a glorious paradise full of liberty where we can speak our minds and, oh dear. Now, okay, that whole pornography destroyed the modern patriarchy or whatever, yeah, that was, I think, posted later. I'm going backwards and forwards in time like a novel, but still. Because you see, Andrew Torba, he just can't stop running his mouth and giving the game away. Rather than just, employ a decent community manager that can help him with his public relations and not make him look like an idiot, instead he runs the Gab.com Twitter account himself and has turned it into a mouthpiece for his own political opinions as opposed to just, shilling his product, which probably it should be, and also as some kind of go-to for people who use Gab to fix problems and things like that. I don't know. That's just a logical, sane thing to do. Torba decides that it's best to use this as a platform for his own opinions, which he can do. He is the creator and he does own that account. It's up to him what he wants, but I'm just saying that perhaps he ought to maybe have his own personal account as opposed to spilling spaghetti on a rather professional account. But hey, the more you know, right, guys? He has been well known to be not particularly fond of certain things that, unfortunately for him, fall under the purview of free speech, and pornography is one of them. But first, we must go back in time, because you see, Gab initially fell under scrutiny for this kind of thing when they decided to ban the dreaded lolicon. Yes, this was something that provoked the ire of Louis Levi and other YouTubers, and you know what? I can see why he would ban that. It's a legal grey area, although in the United States it technically is not illegal, but in other countries it is, and he can't really have that on his site, which could potentially get him in trouble. Okay, I understand that actually. I get that. But normal pornography, apparently even softcore, because he doesn't actually tell me which pornography he has an issue with. Is it hardcore? Is it softcore? Is it just, I don't know, whatever he deems as pornography? He has an issue with it. He doesn't like it. And not only will he ban it from his platform entirely, which is, again, up to him. There are certain countries that don't allow it, and I guess he wants to have as much of a reach as possible. Again, I understand. He, much like Lindsay Shepherd, don't view it as speech. They don't view it as expression. Or if they do, they just decide to make out as if free expression and free speech have this rock solid difference, when actually that in itself is a grey area. It's not speech, but it's expression. Therefore, we can ban it because they're not fans of it for whatever reason. Lindsay Shepherd doesn't like it because I assume that probably comes from her far left past. And as for Torba, I think it's because he's a Puritan. He's just a stupid conservative. Let's just read his tweet about this, shall we? Pornography is not speech any more than flag burning is, regardless of the tortured interpretations of the First Amendment by the Supreme Court over the years in an attempt to protect certain activities by classifying them as speech. Well, you see, the problem is, pornography is probably as old as humanity is, at least in the sense that when humanity first began to think abstractly and develop language and the ability to draw and the ability to make things and express things in anything other than a primordial way. You can go as far back as tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of years. However old the oldest cave painting is, and you will find porn. Cavemen drew it too. This is something that will forever be there. You can't stop it being made. Try as you may to get the Supreme Court to ban it, they won't, because it does fall under the purview of free speech, because this is the pornography I assume that is made by consenting adults who are paid to do it. This is the type of pornography that is legal all over the Western world, and you don't see that as free speech. You also see it as the same as flag burning. How is it the same as flag burning? Flag burning is a protest. It is something that is made to insult a particular country, to make a political statement. How is it in any way the same as flag burning? But even then, flag burning itself falls, as you said, under the First Amendment, because it is free expression. And I actually think, despite my reservations about it, I personally would not do it. I don't think it's particularly tasteful. I would never stop somebody from doing it. Moreover, I see this as a slippery slope, and we've seen this because it started off with lolicon, which is fair enough. I understand that. But now we're going into normal pornography, stuff that everybody agrees, maybe degenerate, but it's not exactly the worst thing in the world. It should be allowed to be made because there's a market there, and it's not harming anybody. It's something that is inevitable. Because after this, then what? Erotic art? Stuff that's not necessarily pornographic. You don't necessarily see any gratuitous shots of genitalia or sex or anything like that. It's just sexy. Lingerie, or a man posing with his muscles and things like that, or couples in a steamy picture, but nothing's actually being shown. Would that be banned next? Then you might as well just carry it on and on and on and on until eventually what left is there other than basically the Old Testament and the New Testament from the Bible, which, by the way, that's full of X-rated stuff. He's just exposed himself as the authoritarian he actually is. Torba doesn't actually care about the First Amendment. He doesn't care about free speech. He only cares about his own opinion, his own agenda, which is to push his own politics and to shift the Overton window to his side. That's what he's interested in. He's only in this free speech game because it's convenient for him to do so. Kind of like Richard Spencer, kind of like a lot of the bread tubers, a lot of far leftists will claim to be all for free speech. But then they'll put on the caveat of, but certain people, certain things should not say things or should not be said. Or certain things do not fall under the purview of free speech. And I like how a basic interpretation of the First Amendment, something that everybody agrees is a literal interpretation, something that's pretty normal, is now a tortured interpretation. That is only a tortured interpretation from somebody who doesn't really agree with it in the first place, not actually believes in it. You, sir, are practically un-American, ironically, because that is the First Amendment for a reason. The Founding Fathers, traitors may they be, put that in there first for a particular reason. According to them, free speech is of the most paramount importance in a free and open liberal society. And that means pornography is allowed. Legal pornography, 18 plus, but nonetheless it is allowed. But the thing is, things like this will just tank his site because people will realise, hang on a sec, this is the guy that made Gab, which is meant to be a free speech platform, and he also made Dissenter, which allows people to basically have a free comment section on websites that don't have a free comment section. Now he's calling for certain art forms or types of expression to be banned. Hang on a sec, what is this really about? And a lot of people will start turning away from the site. They'll either close their accounts down or just stop using it entirely. He might even lose funding because, well, again, he's exposed himself as a hypocrite and an authoritarian. And again, Gab is literally the whole reason why people moved over there, and the whole pitch, the whole shtick, the marketing spiel is that it's a free speech platform. That's why it became what it was in 2016. Well, now it's not, is it? It's not about that. Either it's about him making money or pushing his own extreme conservative values onto society. And they'll just tank him, and then everybody else will be back to square one because the people that we trusted to save free speech are actually the people who are wolves in sheep's clothing, and they're actually trying to undermine it. So remember that, guys. You've got to be wary of people like Andrew Torba. They are opportunists. They are, I guess you can argue, proper businessmen. They see something that is in the zeitgeist, free speech. There is some kind of nebulous free speech movement in the West, and they've hopped onto this. So remember that, guys. People like Torba should be watched and not to be trusted. That's it for today. Sorry I've not made a video for a while, guys. I've been really busy with work and, it's Christmas time, so things are really hectic right now. I'm trying to get as much done as possible, as quickly as I can, so again, apologies, guys. Thank you for pushing me over the 2,400 subscribers as well. That was really good. Thank you very much. So until next time, I'll see you later, guys.